Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence, and a big mahalo for tuning in. Today we are grateful and fortunate to have a distinguished and pretty unusual guest. March 18th and 20th, Honolulu gets appearances from a woman you may have seen on the Montel Williams television show or on Larry King Live on CNN, to name a couple of well-known programs that she's been on. She is well-known herself, and the show at the Blaisdell Concert Hall, March 18th, is marketed as a lecture tour with a world-renowned spiritual teacher, psychic, author, and researcher. She's touring supporting her most recent book, Psychic, My Life in Two Worlds. And it's a topic that definitely pushes buttons with both enthusiastic fans, supporters, clients who feel a genuine benefit from their experiences with her, while at the same time there are skeptics, critics, and investigators who'd say the opposite and who cast doubt on her spiritual and psychic claims. We will speak to her ourselves and do our best to sort through the facts. It's a pleasure to welcome Sylvia Browne. Aloha and mahalo, Sylvia.
Oh, same to you, Dave. Thank you so much.
You are quite welcome, and I appreciate you taking a moment to speak with us ahead of your appearance. Now, what is your personal experience and background with the islands? Have you been here before? And if you have, sort of just run over some chronological history.
Yeah, I haven't been there for 2 years, but before that I was there every single year. I've been on all the islands,
So you've been here quite a few times, and
Yes.
Starting when did you first get to Hawaii?
Let's see, I was, before it was ever 12 years old.
Wow, 12 years old. Any memories of that first visit?
Yeah, I just remember how beautiful the sand was and, how wonderful the people were.
That's nice. And do you have any friends who live here in the islands?
No, but it seems like when I go to Hawaii, even when I was on Maui, I don't know whether they have smoke signals or what, because the woman was from the Big Island, and she said it was all over the islands that I was here.
Well, sometimes information does travel fast. Are there any important life experiences that have happened for you while being here in the islands?
Yeah, where that part is, and I don't remember what island, but it's called the Isle of Refuge. It's a sacred place.
Okay, not sure which would be the Isle of Refuge.
No, it was a place. It was called the Isle of Refuge because
Okay.
I knew I still have friends over there. Yes, Shirley and Fred Cozy.
Okay, and those are particular memories or adventures that stand out.
Now I'm sure that I met an elder. You know what I mean? Because this woman came up to me, and I don't even remember where she came from, and she came up to me, and she held my hand for a minute, and she said, I was at a very low point in my life, because I'd lost about 9 people, that had passed, and she said, you just got to keep on. I remember that so vividly, and then I turned around, because I was starting to cry. I turned around, and she was gone.
And you had just lost the people in your lives, and she said that.
Yes, I lost my mother and father, and I don't know how many, but anyway, it was 9 people within 3 months. It was just terrible. I was afraid to answer the phone anymore.
And so it was almost like having a little psychic experience in a reverse sort of way.
Exactly.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I've always thought that the islands were very, let's call it psychically connected.
What can people who are going to be attending that show on March 18th at the Blaisdell Concert Hall expect, Sylvia?
Well, I give over an hour lecture, and then I do a really, really fascinating meditation. And the reason why I say that is because I've been doing meditation for people for 54 years, but I have gotten more on my email. God, your meditation cured me. In fact, I just got an email today that said, after your meditation, I'm going to go into rehab. So I've kept that one. And then I answer, maybe I can get to 200 or 300 people that line up, and ask questions.
So people who are there several hundred people will get brief readings of some kind?
You get up and say, Sylvia, how's my career, or whatever, I take it from their ticket. They have double tickets, so they put it in a jar and then I pull the tickets out.
Oh, I get it, like raffle style, like
Exactly.
A number. Okay, so that's how people are selected. That was another one of my questions. And you'll do and how long is the whole program, Sylvia, from the moment it starts till it ends, approximately?
2 hours, and then I do a book signing, but I never get up and leave. I mean, I'll stay until the last person is there. I never will forget, and I'm not trying to bash him, but when I was there once before, and we were at the big convention center, and John Edwards left, and I signed 5,000 autographs, and I called him next day, and I said, why in the world would you leave? Those are the people that make you.
Interesting. And what's the story? There's a second event that's happening, and that's the March 20th appearance that's also here in Honolulu. Give me a little background on that.
That's a salon. We call it a salon. That's an old word for people getting together in a room. And I don't take that many, but I take, maybe 20, and we can sit and talk about anything, that has to do with how to be more psychic. What did you see? Talking about theology or whatever. I spend the whole day with them.
Okay. And so what portion of the show, when people first get to the Blaisdell, they're going to be seated, what's the first thing that happens at the show?
I come out. They announce me and I come out.
And you do like a talking presentation, or how quickly?
Sure.
Okay, so you sort of warm it up by talking a little bit yourself, and then you'll start pulling.
I lecture for an hour.
Okay.
Straight lecture. I don't do any of that stuff. Does anybody have a red truck in here? I mean, that's just crazy.
So you'll lecture about.
I'm going to lecture about how you can be morally and mentally healthy. And this is not a nutritional thing. It's they used to say, "Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you what you are." I say, "Tell me what you think, and I'll tell you what you are."
Okay, that makes sense. I'm just trying to figure out the format, so it's about that long. Then you do the individual. You'll start taking numbers.
Meditation, and then I do the individual, and I leave about an hour. Because in an hour, when people are asking, because usually people have one specific thing they're worried about. Whether it's their health. I tell them, don't lead me. Just give me a category, health or your finances or work or whatever, and then I go from there.
Fascinating. So when you're faced with people who are skeptical
about them.
I'm sorry?
I don't care about them. And there isn't anybody in this world that isn't. Don't you think you have them too? Everybody does.
Sure. No. So my question is this: so when you face somebody who has an open mind but it feels skeptical or some sort of doubt, what's the first thing you would do to try to convince them, like myself, for example, of your skill or ability?
Well, I wouldn't infringe on them in the first place. I mean, they'd have to ask me something before I would just, I've been on the elevator with people, and knew that somebody standing to the right of me had an ulcer, but you don't tap them on the shoulder and say, listen, you better see about your ulcer.
I get it. Right, that's fair. That's very fair. I completely respect that. With that in mind, when was the experience or moment that you think first made you aware of these abilities?
When I was 5 years old, I was with my father, and I looked over, because my family lives to be so old, two of my great-grandmothers were sitting on a couch, and I saw their faces run, like Raiders in the Lost Ark. That terrible vision of flesh running off. And I saw that, and I bolted for the door, and my dad took me to my grandmother, because she was we come from 300 years of psychic. And so I told her, she said, just ask God to take that away from you. And I do know when people are going to die, but I don't want to be walking around in a crowd or shopping or something and see everybody's face running. That's not a pleasant thing.
All right. When you are looking at, like, for example, to prepare for this interview, I was taking a look at some different stuff online, and one of the places was the Skeptical Inquirer, and they have a study, and it is about accuracy for predictions, and they basically say that they looked at 115 cases of missing people or murders that you had commented on in some way, and Skeptical Inquirer reports that you're not correct on these, and they say that you claim to be correct 85% of the time. They say none of these cases yielded anything, that 25 of them you were outright.
And I've talked to police officers, and none of them have ever commented. They said they never even contacted them, so that's nothing but a lie.
You're saying that their study does not have legitimacy?
No, it doesn't have any. And not only that, but they're all atheists, which doesn't throw me to pieces anyway.
What would you say about the stuff, though, that ends up on, let's say, Anderson Cooper researching the Sean Hornbeck case?
And seeing that was well, I don't want to go into that because it really involves another psychic who called me and said, would you please say that he's dead? And I didn't even pay attention, and he showed up on Montel, and I'd done 4 shows that day. I said, yeah, he's gone, because I went along with his psychic, and that's what was really. But what they didn't, if they look at the timeline, this psychic was even on, Access Hollywood, telling them where he was killed in his shack. But here's what's really funny is, because I grew up in Kansas City, in the Kirkwood Police Department called me and told me that they had a dark-haired kid that was missing, and they didn't know why I hadn't picked him up.
But I guess I would just say,
Dateline just had a big thing on me where I solved a case of that girl that was killed in a parking lot.
And I'm just saying in particular, just because as a journalist, and I'm not holding him up to some sort of enormous credibility, mind you, but by the same token, I would just say Anderson Cooper runs the kind of show that he's ready to be called on anything he says at any time. It gives you that feeling, that keeping him honest kind of theme that he's got on the show. And I would wonder why, when presenting that information, he did it in such a way as to, you were basically saying that you said that this person was dead, this Sean Hornbeck, and you described the culprit as a dark-skinned Hispanic with dreadlocks, yet the guy was found alive. His abductor was a white guy with no dreadlocks. You did say, I think, that his name was Michael, and it ended up being a Michael, but...
I said what I did was I got my wires crossed, and on top of that, the psychic that gave me the information, he never took any of the brunt of that.
He never did what?
The brunt.
He didn't take the brunt of it, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, okay, for the information being wrong, you're saying he didn't take the flack that you've taken on that.
Well, because I thought, it's a brotherhood thing, and I thought, well, he knows, he's been in the business fairly long.
Right.
He said, would you say that he's dead? And he said, for me? And I said, yeah, sure, because I figured, well, he knew. I didn't investigate it myself. And as far as Anderson Cooper is concerned, he does not look up his validity. That I know for sure.
Well, why do you think he doesn't get called on it more?
Because I think it's like Rush Limbaugh. He's got such an acid tongue,
But you would put him in the same rank as that? Do you really think that that's a good...
Well, absolutely. As Imus and the rest of them.
But wouldn't you say those guys are more right-wing? Because I don't see Anderson Cooper falling on a right-wing. I think, if anything, he would fall more on a left-wing kind of side.
No, I disagree with you. I think he's for anything that's sensational and anything that he reads, he believes in.
Okay.
I've caught him in things myself. That's not my position to be critical about him. I don't want to spend my life with, naysayers.
And I understand that, but I don't think he's so much as a naysayer, but somebody who approaches things from a position... Again, we have a very limited, I will give you this, we have a very limited news media on TV, and it isn't what we all deserve to have in terms of what news should be. And in public radio, we strive for that. And so I will give you that news has become way too commentary filled, and there are angles. I only point to that because it does appear to me that when he presented some of this information, it just gave me the feeling that he wasn't doing it in a sort of slanderous or in any kind of negative way. It was more just putting facts out there.
I've told the police that I will not work with them if they ever give me any accolades on that, because, look, I have a family and I have grandchildren. I don't want to, because I just busted up a big drug ring. Do you want it to put in the paper, Sylvia Browne busted up this drug ring and da-da-da-da-da, I won't tell you where it was. I don't want that.
Right. I mean, and you have to give you, on the other side, there's been some certain things. The ski mask rapist case seems a positive. George Sanchez, the sewer worker.
Yeah, but and I didn't even want that to come out, but it did anyway. And I didn't want Dateline to come out either.
Is there an ability that comes with your what you think is a talent or skill that enables you to see the future?
No, I think it's a genetic thing. I know it comes from God, but I think it's a genetic component, because you can't have 300 years of them, because my son is also a great psychic.
And is there, why do you think there's so much resistance from people who would say that it's someone being opportunist or taking advantage of people who are looking for something?
Well, I think they're right to their own opinion, but I don't think every doctor is 100% either. Where are you going to find somebody that somebody doesn't say something about? How many doctors have they come out and said they didn't need this surgery?
Right.
They wanted money.
Do you have a rate that you think in terms of accuracy that you put out there, in terms of how often you think you've been accurate or right?
85%, because we run whenever I do a reading for people, I send a validity, paper with it. And then they run it through the computer.
And if you know that somebody's in harm, would you?
I tell them.
You would tell them you wouldn't hold the information out and ask for money.
I would not. If you'd ever seen me on Montel, I told that one girl not to get in the Red Thunderbird, and she called me back a week later. She said, and it was in an accident, and I would have been killed. So you see, I don't think a psychic is just a harbinger of doom. We also are people who are supposed to protect you.
Why, though, did Craig and Pam Akers say on TV that you claim to have more information, but you wouldn't give it to them without them paying in some way?
I never said that in my whole life. You can call any police department. I do all of that pro bono.
So if you knew something bad was going to happen, you would make sure someone knew?
Yeah, if I saw you walking across the street and getting hit by a truck today, I'd say, please don't walk across that street.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And that's when as a wrap up.
I've always been a Robin Hood person. I mean, there's no procurement. Nobody is asked to call me. No one. And I've been doing it for 54 years. Now, don't you think after 54 years, if I was a charlatan, it would have gotten around?
I can imagine. Who is the psychic that asked you to go and speak on behalf of them in the Sean Hornbeck case?
I can't tell you that. I won't tell you that. I won't sink to his level.
Right, but I understand. But in some ways, someone would also be in some way correct in saying that you're shirking some of the responsibility for it by saying that you're attributing the case to them and their desire to have you cover for them in a way. But then you're not really. I guess you're maintaining cover for them.
Of course I am.
In some ways. Okay, I can leave it at that. One final question, Sylvia, because I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds, anyone who watches the news at least. Egypt, lots of drama going on over there. What do you think's going to happen? Do you have any idea, any reading on the outcome with Mubarak? Is he going to keep his job or not?
No, I think they're going to write him out, because I've been to Egypt many, many times. And, in fact, I just got back from Israel and Egypt, and it was a strange thing, because before we went, my guide said, you better go now because pretty soon the borders are going to be closed. And I thought, well, that's crazy. And this was in October, November, and look what happened.
So what do you see ahead?
It's going to calm down, but you can't oppress people and give them $2 a day for a wage. That isn't even a living wage, not even for Egypt. So I think Mubarak's going to have to step down.
Okay. And anything else in particular you see as you think about the issue?
No, I think it'll go back. See, Egypt really has wonderful people. They really are the kindest people I've ever met. I love the Turkish, and I love Kenya. That's my favorite. But Egypt has such a sweetheart. It really does. You know, they don't have anything against us. They're just mad because they are so oppressed.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. I hope that your trip here to the islands is safe, happy, and healthy. And is there anything else you think I should have asked you that I didn't?
No. No, I think you did a great job with that.
Well, I do my best. And again, please travel safe. And when you're here, possibly I'll be able to say hi. But in any event, I hope that your visit is a good one for you.
Yeah, and I want you to take care of your back.
One more time?
I want you to take care of your back and your shoulder.
What's wrong with my back or shoulder?
I don't know, but it looks strained, tight. Your lower fourth and fifth disc area.
Looks strained.
Yes.
And which shoulder does not look right?
Right. The right one.
Right shoulder. Okay. Any other things I need to know real quick before you let me off? I appreciate it.
You're going to move.
I'm going to move.
Uh-huh.
Is that a good thing?
Oh, yeah. Residentially.
I'm going to move residentially. Not from Hawaii, you mean?
Oh, no. You got lots of windows and foliage, and it's really a beautiful place.
Okay. So you don't see me leaving Hawaii?
Oh, no.
But moving my residence. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
And my back. All right. Well, I appreciate it. And if like I said, hopefully I'll reach out to your people. If there's a way to say hi when you're in town, I'll do my best to get over there.
Oh, that would be nice. I'd like to meet you.
And you too. And thank you for taking some time for me. I do mean it, Sylvia. Be safe.
Okay, honey. Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Hello. It's so nice to be with you. This is Sylvia Browne, and I'm on with Dave Lawrence. Hi, this is Sylvia Browne. I'm on 420, the only show that really matters, with my friend Dave Lawrence.
Awesome. And just say, have a happy 420, Dave.
Have a happy 420, Dave.
Fantastic.